Welcome. I'm your host, Maya Urban, the Urban Healer. I'm a life coach, Reiki master, Akashic record reader, and registered nurse. Hello, and welcome to the Discover Your Joy podcast. I am Maya Urban, your host, and today I am so excited because I have a very special guest, Vanessa from Mintworthy. She is my money coach. I've been working with her since 2020, yes, and she has completely transformed my life in every way possible. My business has transformed, my personal finances have transformed, everything has shifted since this money queen has entered into my life. So, hello, Vanessa. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, my love. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this.
Oh, so pumped. So many people sent in questions, and so many people have started following you through my journey. So, I know that this is going to be a very well received podcast. And I'm just so excited to share all this information. So, first things first, tell me, who are you? What do you do? For the people who don't already know, side note, follow her immediately.
Okay, who am I and what do I do? So I'm a CPA. I'm also a Master NLP practitioner, and I know it's like a whole mouthful. Basically, I'm just a money and mindset nerd, is what I like to say. And of course, the founder of Mintworthy. So really, my journey with money is what started my business because, like most people, I didn't know how money worked. I didn't know what to do with my money. I was lucky enough to have a mentor who took me under her wings. And I literally just got obsessed with personal finance, like literally obsessed. I was like, everyone needs to know this. Everyone needs to know this. And that's how it started. It was literally me doing things on the side and then realizing, as my CPA career was growing, that it wasn't what my heart was calling me to. And so I decided to leave my corporate job, started Mintworthy. But the funny thing is, you start a journey, especially like an entrepreneurial journey, and you have no idea where it's going to lead you. Like you have one vision, and then it's like, zoop, no, we're doing this. So when I first started Mintworthy, it was all of more like the personal finance, the money management, the mindset aspect of it came in after the fact because I was creating these sexy money plans for my clients and they wouldn't stick to them. And I was like, what is happening? Like, what do you mean? You spend all this time? Like, what do you mean? And
Uh-huh.
that's when I realized, and even, realizing through them and then doing a lot of deep work on myself, realizing that there's more to money than just numbers and our relationship with money, our mindset around money, our emotions around money, how we were socialized around money as a kid, what we learned, what we heard, what we saw, what we experienced is creating our adulthood interactions and decisions with money. And so that took me on a whole nother journey. That's how I got into neuro-linguistic programming. And so now all of that is inside of Mintworthy. And basically, I support women to really shift their mindset, get them to stand in their worth, see their worth, really shift their relationship with money, aligned, have them aligned with money, and then teach them how to manage their money. Because I truly believe your money mindset, your money management must align if you want to create the financial life you desire.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so funny because I laugh about that because how many months did we work on my budget and I just didn't stick to it? And it's just like, yeah, I know logically, I know I have a budget, and I know I need to like do this. Like logically, I know. And like 2 + 2 = 4. Absolutely. And then I'm like, "Ah." And it's not that because it's like if money was that easy, everyone would be able to manage it. And like most people are struggling with money. Most people don't know what to do with it. They don't understand it. And then they're like, oh, can't look at it. Oh, not looking at my bills. Oh, and it's just like, that's an energy that's ingrained with us. And it's like, holy crap, how much we pick up from society and our stories in terms of like childhood. Like, you have to process that. Like, that's your nervous system. That's the energy. Like, otherwise, the external world won't give you what you want because your internal world is a hot mess. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, totally. So I'm like, I gotta tell you guys how I met her because I get this question a lot actually, and it's funny because it was completely by accident. It was like late spring 2020, early pandemic. I'm a mess because I'm a full-time like COVID nurse while I'm trying to run a business, but no idea what I'm doing, really, just trying to figure it out. But like, how can I make this actually make money for me? And there was this conference online that I decided to go to, and Vanessa was one of the speakers. And it was funny because it was like I went like one of the people who was speaking, I listened to like 5 minutes and I was like, not feeling it. And then I was like, I'll listen to Vanessa. And the moment she started speaking, like something within me was like, you need to work with her. You have no choice. You're working with her. This has to happen. And I'm like, I don't understand. I didn't realize I'm going to work on my money. I thought I need to grow my business. Like, what? And then you were running Live in Your Worth, which is now Unblock Your Abundance, correct? As it's upgraded. And you actually already started the program. And then you just had this nudge to be like, if anyone else wants to join, I don't know why I'm saying this, you can join. And I was like, that's me. That would be my higher self screaming, begging for you to take me on. So I did that program, which was crazy because, oh my God, I manifested so much like money while working with you. And it was just like, it was getting like funny, being like, oh, hey, I just found like $3,000 worth of points on my credit card that I didn't really have, that I didn't know I had. And I don't know what to do with this. So I'm perfect. Everything changed. Then we started working together one on one. And then you weaned me off. And I remember the day you're like, I'm not doing one-on-one anymore. Like my like world just came crashing down. And I was like, I don't know how to do life without you. But then thank God you ended up creating another program, which is fantastic. I just finished it, or I guess we're still in the middle of it because we're in the mastermind, and it's Unblock Your Business. And guys, these two programs, like you just have to invest and do it because everything changes. And like your ROI on it is like crazy. So it's like, don't even think about the money. Sign up immediately. Link is in the show notes. Pause the episode, sign up, and then continue listening because it's that good.
I just love you. I just love you. And as you're talking to, I was like remembering that day when we first met, and like, I don't know, we had a call. And I
Yeah.
remember our first call, and I was like, I don't know who this chick is, but I love her. I was
Because
like,
I
I
was like sobbing, like, COVID nurse, I hate my job. My business isn't big enough. I don't know what to do. Like, I was like, not a pretty
it was pretty to me, boo. It was all pretty to me.
bless. So it's like when you get these like massive nudges of like, do this next, your mind is always going to be like, how? I can't afford it. How am I going to make it work? You just do. And like the money is going to come to you because the moment you start showing up and doing the work, the universe shows up for you and abundance literally flows to you. So, love it. Now, I want to talk about the beginning of your journey. So, what were some of the mistakes you made? Like, what were the biggest fails you had? Like, share that. Because I feel like you're here now, and then some people have a hard time relating, but it's like you started just like
Absolutely.
everyone else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like right when I started my career, I landed like my dream job, and of course, your girl thought she made it, and I spent my money like I made it. So like most people, I was like spending over my means. It was like a budget, like ew, that's not for me. I was renting a condo I could barely afford. Like everything was lifestyle. Everything was, buy what you want, figure it out later. And of course, like I got myself into a lot of debt. I was literally struggling, like struggling. And I remember like I even called my landlord one time and was like, "Can I break this lease?" And I didn't know, like legally I had the ability to, and he's like, "No, you have to wait to the end." So like even I was trying to change my financial life, but I was like hitting all these blocks,
Mm.
and it just came to this point where I was like, "Okay, like you got yourself into this mess, like you have to get yourself out." And sometimes you have to take a step back in your financial life to take a step forward. Like I moved out of the condo, I moved into a basement apartment so I could save more, and realizing, yes, it didn't look pretty, yes, it didn't look sexy, but sometimes you got to put you first, and you have to put your financial life first, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of what people think, regardless of what people say, because no one's coming to you and giving you the money to pay your bills, honey. Like you got to pay them and you got to figure it out. So yeah, I feel like I've been around the world and back again. But yeah, I faced the same similar mindset blocks, money management issues that a lot of women face. We weren't taught how to manage our money. And so we do what we think we should do, or we turn a blind eye and we're like, no, figure this out one day, and
Yeah.
never,
Mm,
it never
mm,
gets figured out.
mm. No,
Yeah.
no, for sure. So, what was the biggest mindset shift you had to? overcome, or like the biggest like money story that made you realize you're like, wait, why am I thinking that?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to worth. It was this like, are you
Mm,
worthy of wealth? And when I say wealth, it's like, are you worthy of more money? Like, are you worthy of that? And that even that false belief of when, right? Like, I would be in my career and say, when I get this next promotion, when I get the next raise, like when I get more money, then I'll be better with money. Then I'll pay down my debts. Then I'll save more. And that
mm,
wasn't true because when you're living out of your blocks, when you make more money, you just do more silly things with your money. You don't make better decisions when you're operating out of the same mindset. So I lived from this when would happen, and I'd make more financial mistakes. And then it was also that belief of, well, you're not going to make a lot of money. Like, you're going to be capped. You're not worthy of wealth. Wealth is for other people, it's not for you. So, both of those were like the biggest blocks that I literally had to conquer and unravel. And it's not like it happened overnight, and it's not like it was easy. But,
yeah,
you get real with yourself and you're like, where did these stories come from? And you realize they're not yours. They're just things
yeah,
that you have inherited, or you just kept telling yourself, but they're not
yeah.
the truths that you want to live from.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And it's so interesting because I mean, I obviously do NLP as well. So it's like, I love time technique, and money always comes up with my clients, obviously. So one thing that I always mention, like, if you saw, let's say, your parents fighting over money when you were a kid, or they were like avoidant, like, I can't look at the bills, or just whatever, the energy shifts. Even if you're too little to know what's going on, you're associating something bad, danger with money. But then you associated that with money, not the kitchen table they sat on. No one has a fear of kitchen tables. And it's like, why would I have a fear of kitchen tables? That's ridiculous. Why do you have a fear of money? Money did nothing to you. And I mean, really, money isn't even really tangible at this point because it's like just a number floating up there. So stop adding these stories onto money. And it's like, oh my goodness, like that really made me look at things differently. But then also, have compassion for being taught the wrong way. Most of us have not been taught how to run a budget. Most of us have not been taught about, saving for retirement, or just even like, well, wait, life costs this much. I have this much, so it's never going to work. No, it can work, but you have to adjust things. So then it's like, take ownership and responsibility and learn, i.e., take Vanessa's course now. And like, not to like overplug, which I'm going to, but listen, you can go do a finance course, which is like crunching numbers and it's just numbers. But if you haven't healed your money trauma and regulated your nervous system and like shifted your mindset, that's not going to work. But then you also can't be like, woo, I'm manifesting, I journaled it. Awesome. You still have to do the action and the like structure of it, because maybe the universe is not going to give you bags of money. Maybe it will. But I mean, I wouldn't hold my breath on that. So it's like you got to have both. And I think that's the thing that makes you so different, because it's like, no, you actually know finances, but you know energy and mindset. And that is like next level. Just saying. Right? Right.
I love
So
you.
I love you even more. So then what do you see your clients do in terms of mistakes? Like, what is like the biggest mistake? Like top like one or two, three, whatever you see, like what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. When it comes to managing their money, I think it's not that like old habits die hard, because when you have a plan, it totally shifts who you are with money, it totally shifts your mindset. But a lot of the times, I see my clients like starting off great with their plans, taking a dip in the month, like the next month, but then coming back, and then they get hard on themselves. And I think this is the thing that we have to realize is that your money journey is not going to be perfect. Like, there are going to be months where things just happen, life just happens, but that should not cause you to derail your entire plan, your entire dreams, your entire goals. Like, it's just realizing this is what happened and how do I shift and come back. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like having that resilience, like that, okay, cool, this is what happened. Come back to your plan. So always come back to your plan. And then on the mindset perspective, it's kind of like what are the blocks that I was talking about our worth. I feel like a lot of my clients, everything comes back to worth. And it can look very different. It can be based on different childhood experiences. It can be based on all these different things. But when you peel back all the layers of the block,
Yeah.
it comes down to not feeling worthy. Like I was
Yeah.
working with a client in a VIP day last week, and we started off with she felt like she can't start her business. And I'm like, well, what's under that? And we peeled back the layers, and it went back to her childhood. It went back to her father. And then always, like on earth, under all of that, it came back to unworthiness.
Yeah.
And I think a big block for all of us as women, on the surface, it looks like something else, but underneath, the truth is that we don't feel worthy.
Yeah.
Worthy of the money, worthy of the dream, worthy of the love, worthy of the relationship. And when you shift that and you realize you are worthy just as you are,
Yeah.
everything changes.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's like in terms of women and being in your feminine and receiving sometimes feels really unsafe. And like I remember we had a session where, remember you, oh my goodness, how did it happen? It was like, just feel like you're being taken care of by like your mother. And I was like, that's triggering to me. And you're like, okay, how can we make this feel safe? Because it was like I did not feel safe to be supported by the universe because I'm just like, will you have my back? Can I trust you? I have certain experiences in my childhood that makes me feel like my environment is unsafe. So for me, that wasn't like, okay, perfect. This beautiful childhood, I was held and everything's great. It's like, no, I got abandoned all the time. So it's like, I don't feel safe. So we worked through healing that. And then all of a sudden I was like, I can take naps and make money. I mean, I had to bring that up.
I tell this story all the time.
So let's just discuss this little like topic of napping and making money, which I mean, it was hilarious. And essentially, I was so in my masculine, so in the do, action, action, action. I can't take a rest. I got to do more. I have to take care of everything. I was like clenching and just like suffocating my business. And Vanessa was like, you need to take time off. And I was like, but I can't. I need to make money. I'll take time off when I make money. How many of us say that? Don't do that. Well, you're not in a state of receiving. Your energy sucks. And even if like you hide it well online, people are going to be like, your energy is weird. And they're just like, I want to book you. Oh, I don't. I want to, something's off. And they don't book you. So Vanessa's like, can you just take a nap? Just for the love of God, take a nap. Like, take a chill pill. You're literally going to explode of stress. And I was like, this is awful, but I trust you and I love you and I'm going to do it. Took a nap and I was like, I just like booked a whole bunch of discovery calls and someone just paid for my online program in full and I don't know who they are. And then every time she's like, take a nap. And like every time I'm like, and then I'm like, oh my God, it happened again. Oh my God, it happened again. Keeps on happening. So I'm the one who naps and takes naps and makes money. Thank you. That's mine. Yep. Oh my goodness. Do you have another story from a client that you asked them to do something that's like a little bit unconventional and it was like, boom, here you go.
Um, Shoot, let me think. Okay, wait, there's one story. Let me think if there's another one. When you ask to think on the spot and you're like, well, your mind was
I'm
blank.
sorry, I totally put you
Um,
on the spot there.
no, that's all good. That's all good. Well, I don't know. One of my clients, only because this happened recently, I was thinking about her, um, where we were looking at her revenue model. And the funny thing is, we were looking at this since her VIP day, which was last August. And I
Mhm.
said to her then, like, this part of your business is not working, it's not profitable, you have to let it go. And she's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna let it go by the beginning of the year, right? Like this was August, okay? She was in Unblock Your Business.
Yeah.
January came, still did not let that part
Yeah.
of her business go.
Yeah.
Through Unblock Your Business, she's talking about this part of the business and expanding that part of the business. And I'm like, this part of her business was draining money. So it was not profitable.
Hmm.
She's making a lot of revenue, but the cost to run it literally puts her in the negative. So her other offers are literally covering this offer. So
Hmm.
she's still doing it and doing it. I'm like, okay, okay. So then she's in the CEO circle. So I have one-on-one sessions with her. So we get in our first one-on-one session, and I'm like, What's going on? Like, you can keep doing this, but your business is going to drain. And I was like, just let it go. Like, what would it take for you to let it go?
Yeah.
On that call, she decided to let it go. And she was like, well, what do I replace it with? And I was like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And she's like, I want to do retreats. And literally, like, this has been in her mind. She had started making calls. No one was getting back to her. And I was just like, if you trust, if you let go and truly let go of this offer and trust that the retreats is where you want to be, everything's going to fall in place. Literally, we get off the call. She sends me a text. She's like, I just had a voice note like from this retreat center she had called weeks ago that never got back to her. And they're like, we'd love to have you. Then the next day she messages me. She's like, so I talked to them, but their space isn't available.
Yeah.
And so I find this other place, and this other place
Yeah.
has sheep. Like it's like a farm type place, and it has sheep, and her business is all about spinning. Like it's actually sheep in the business. Like that's like her name in the business. So like literally, she let go, and it was hard for her to let go, but then everything lined up. Like she
Yeah.
needed a caterer, her neighbor's a caterer. Like everything she
Yeah.
needed just lined up by just letting go. And I think
Yeah.
that's just not just for our business but our life. Like sometimes you have to let go. We're holding so hard to something, to our job, to a relationship, to a part of our business, and we're literally suffocating and blocking the very abundance we desire. And if you let it go and then hold on to what you want to claim, what you want to call into your life,
Yeah.
everything will line up for you. But you got to trust. You got
And
to
it's
trust.
like you have to create the space to receive. Like if you're
Yes.
like clenching and holding on to all these different things, the universe is like, cool, whenever you make some space, I'll give you stuff. But you're like, "No, no, no." And then it's like, well, now what? Like, no, where is it gonna go? It has nowhere to go. I mean,
Exactly.
this is a perfect segue, and I would love for you to talk about profit and revenue and how it's different
Don't
because
get
you know this, but then it's like, do you know this? And like I say this because one of the modules in Unblock Your Business was one to get really clear on like what your offers are, but then how much do they cost? And like I think that's something that if you don't run a business, you don't understand. But let's say I have an hour of coaching, and then someone's like, your hour of coaching is blank amount of dollars. And I was like, an hour of coaching? Thank you. How about the hour of prep I did before? How about the prep I did after? How about the team that is helping me run the business that I have to pay for? How about the editing? How about me researching new techniques for you to do? How about blah, 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 blah. And how about I love you, but you're needy and you send me 100 emails a week. And that's a lot of extra time. Oh, plus pay your taxes because you always pay the taxes first.
yes.
So tell me more about profit versus revenue and like what business owners need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a common misconception. I think it's because also of how our society celebrates your revenue, right? You have a six-figure business, which is
Yeah.
always based on revenue. Oh, you made 100K, always based on revenue. Your revenue is your top line.
Yeah.
It's great, it's sexy, but it takes time, cost, like you said, a team to run your business. Like
Mhm.
it's a cost to run your business. And that's
Yeah.
what your profit is. Your profit is your revenue minus your cost. That's your profit. So when you're
Yeah.
looking at your overall business, yes, you can say you have a sexy revenue number and amount, but if your profit is low, you don't really have a business. You're still running a hobby. I have a client right now. Revenue last year was about 200K. Her profit was 40K.
Wow.
40K. Like, what can you do out of 40K? First, you got to pay your taxes, as you just said. Hello, taxes need to get paid. And then if
ASAP.
there's money left, right? And then if there's money left, you got to pay yourself. You got to reinvest into business growth. There's so many other things that come outside of just your
Yeah.
profit. And so when you're celebrating or excited about revenue, but your business is profit poor,
Yeah.
you don't have a business. And
Mhm.
also, I would say, we're, if you are looking at your profit, most people don't, but if you are, we're also conditioned to just look at it as a total basis, right? Here's my total revenue, here's my total expenses, here's my total profit. But as we were talking about in the program, you also have to look at your individual offers. Like, are your offers profitable. As you were just saying to me, here's what it costs to run a one-on-one coaching program. Here's all
Mhm.
those costs. Here's what I'm getting paid. Is that one offer bringing in money into my business, or
Yeah.
is that negative and is draining money from my business? Just because something's
Yeah.
making revenue
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's bringing money into your business. You've got to look at the cost that it takes to run that offer, the cost it takes to run your business. And I think that's the mindset we have to shift into if we want to build sustainable, profitable businesses. You have to look at your profit. Don't
Yeah.
just celebrate revenue. We've got to celebrate our profits.
Absolutely. And I mean, like at the end of the day, it's like if you're doing just one-on-ones, which is what I was doing for a very long time. Oh my gosh, I remember last year I lost my voice like 3 times and I literally didn't have a voice for like almost 3 months and be like, this is my business. Well, I can't have like 8 or 10 one-on-one clients a week in addition to everything else that I did. So it's like, is that scalable? And not everyone needs to have like this huge dream of having a multi-million dollar business and like scaling. But then you have to think about your time. Like you hit a max for how many people you can help. And like most of us who, especially the people who are listening to my podcast, they want to make a huge impact in the world and they want that impact to be shared. But then it's like you're maxed out at like 5 people a week. And that's amazing. And like you're helping 5 people, but it's like, I think like 50 or 100 or 5,000 people need your magic. So it's like you have to be really mindful of how you spend your time as well. And it's funny because like initially I was like, oh my God, I'm hitting the numbers. Woo, 6 figures. 6 figures is nothing. Like by the time you pay the tax man and everything else, 6 figures is like, that was cute. Thanks for coming out. Like, sorry, not a thing. But then at the end of the day, when I like looked at how many hours I was spending and how much money I was making, I was like, whoa, that was my hourly rate. I'm like, ah.
Right? It's like minimum wage over here. Hello. Right?
This is cute. Like, I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm sorry. Teresa has a private jet. Like, I know I can't. So it's like you really got to look at those numbers, but then there's so much fear in looking at the numbers. And like, completely used to be me of like, oh my God, I know I'm not having the best month. I'm not looking at my numbers. I'm not looking. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. And now I'm just like, 3, 2, 1, let's look. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, cool. Or like 3, 2, 1. Yay, this is amazing. But it's like you have to have your finger on the pulse of your business. Like you can't have surprises. You need to know what comes out when, whether they're monthly expenses, yearly expenses, whether they're personal expenses. And that took me like a year and a half of courage to actually like look at everything and be able to like see the bigger picture. But like if you don't, you ain't going nowhere.
Exactly. It's so
So
true. And when you
teaching me
do
that.
that, you feel so empowered, regardless of what comes back. If it's beautiful numbers, you feel empowered and you're like, I did that. If it's not beautiful, you're like, okay, cool. I'm empowered to then move forward to adjust this. Like when we live in the dark, we don't build not just our businesses, but we don't build the dreams. We don't build what we're here for in life. And that's why we feel unworthy. That's why we feel like, what's the point of this? It's your numbers don't lie. Your numbers are everything.
Absolutely. And then it's just like a gentle reminder to see where you can do some more inner work. And like for me, like what I always recommend is like you have to regulate your nervous system. You have to, because that is everything and runs the show. You have to check your energy. You have to check your mindset. But I think it's also, especially like as we were talking about self-worth, I think people have a hard time feeling good and feeling safe to feel good and feeling safe to have
Mm,
it's like, oh my God, hot potato, get rid of it. And you might not know that that's what you're doing. But like, I know for me, like, I was making a nice amount of money, but then all these random expenses were coming up where I was spending mindlessly because I didn't feel safe to hold the energy of more money, which means you have to like gently stretch yourself and do the inner work, i.e., work with someone. You have to. You can't do money work on your own. I'm sorry. It's just, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's like, has it been working for you? No. Cool. Get a mentor. Like straight up. This is not where you save money, but you have to stretch yourself to feel safe to receive and to have the abundance and to have the joy and to be like, yeah, I'm worthy of that. Like, just no questions about that. So,
under
next question for you. Tell us your thoughts on the recession and what is happening in the financial world. Tell me.
Okay, you're probably gonna not like this answer, but I don't believe there's a recession. That's just me. Like you can decide, and and I wouldn't say it's just me. I think the people I follow, the mentors that I have, the mindset that I have has been conditioned also by them. And we were told we're in a recession or going into a recession. I don't know. Tomorrow we are, today we are, who knows? But you create your own economy. And that's what I
Mhm,
believe. I believe I create my own economy. And I believe my economy is never in a recession. So
mhm,
I'm not one, I don't listen to the news. I'm
mhm,
not one to follow what happens. It's just not me. Because
mhm,
when you do that, you allow that to create your thoughts. You allow that to then become your subconscious beliefs. You allow that to then create your identity, and that
mhm.
is what you attract. So there's no recession in my world. We're still going to make money this year. We're going to make more money than we did last year. That's truly what I believe. Like with COVID, I remember COVID first hit, I was like, this is going to be my best year ever. And it was. And so what you believe is what you put out. That's just me. May not jive with everyone else, but that's how I live my life. It's like, no, there's no recession. My economy is a recession proof. And that also comes back to everything we just talked about, how you set up your business, how you run your business, how you run your personal finances. And it doesn't mean that you live in the, when I say like I don't watch the news, it's not like I'm living in the dark. I'm still managing my money every week. Like I'm still making sure like things are getting put aside for what they need to be put aside for. I'm still building an emergency fund. So it's not that you live in the dark and you're like, life's gonna be great. You do the practical that's necessary, but you don't allow the external world to
Yeah.
dictate your internal world and dictate your bank account.
Amen to that. I remember we were talking about this on one of our coaching calls, and I think the way you said it is, I don't subscribe to that belief. And I remember, and I mean, like, I've been doing this work with you for like 3 years, and like you said that, and I was like shook. And I was like, wait, I get to decide? And I was like, of course I get to decide. I've decided in other aspects of my life. And like, sure, it's like a worldwide thing, but I'm like, is it? I'm like, "Ah, no, my
No,
business keeps on growing." And I'm like, I'm sorry, as like everyone is like falling apart, both of our businesses is needed. I have to step up my game. I have to have more services. I have to make sure I'm like supporting my community. Perfect. And yes, I'm going to be paid doing that because the more I get paid, the more I can give back.
yeah, I agree. And I think there's levels to mindset, right? Like when you think of a recession, do you think wealthy people get impacted in a recession? No. No, absolutely not. So who's the recession for? And
Yeah.
then it comes back to like which level of life do you want to subscribe to? Like this
Yeah.
level or the wealthy level?
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it like recession builds the most millionaires?
Yes, yes,
Like
absolutely. So
it's like this is an opportunity. And like even with like the pandemic, like so many businesses, yes, many businesses were affected. And I totally acknowledge that. And I'm sending a lot of love to that. But there were so many people who like stepped up their game, got creative, did things differently. Like I didn't have a virtual business before the pandemic. I turned my business virtual while being a full-time pandemic nurse. Thank you. It sucked, but I did it, put on my big girl pants, and I was like, cool, we're shifting, we're pivoting, let's do this. And
absolutely.
that's the thing. Like whatever you have to offer, the world needs you, and there's someone out there praying and wishing that your offer is coming out. So it's like it's not even about you. It's like it's about what you can give back and how you can serve and like help people out there. So it's like I don't subscribe to this recession situation. Thank you. And that goes with any other belief. You're just like, no, no. And then you can like giggle about it, but like, oh, no, that's not for me. Thank you so much. That's done. It's like when the bread comes to the table, people are like, do you want some bread? I'm like, no, I'm gluten free. It's like, oh,
Exactly.
well, thank
You're
you.
subscribed to
I'm
that thing.
gluten-free. Thanks.
Exactly.
Done. But then let's talk about the mortgages right now. So this is one of the questions that came through in terms of the mortgage rate is what it is. Like you can't be like, just kidding, I want a different number. They
Yes.
have substantially changed. So anyone that is about to change their mortgage, whether they're buying a new property, they're refinancing, or whether they're just up for renewal, what are your tips in terms of managing that, surviving that, and like not having a heart attack through that?
Yes, yes, such a great point because there is a reality of it all, of course. And this is where it comes back to having a financial plan. So if you don't have a financial plan, then anything that is outside of the norm is going to slap you and it might slap you hard. If you had a plan, if you had a budget, this is where you can adjust, you can pivot quick. So it's like, okay, cool. My mortgage is going up. I had one client 2 weeks ago tell me her mortgage went up $1,400. So
Mm-hmm.
in her plan, upped the mortgage 1,400 and then adjusted some of the expenses. Like you don't panic as much. I don't know, you might still panic, but you don't panic as much when you have a plan. But if you're not managing money every month, if you're just living in the dark, you're like, oh, I'm living my best life, then these things are going to hit you and hit you hard. But if you are financially prudent, you are, I'll say it like this, you're financially savvy. You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of your finances. You're following a budget, then you know, okay, cool. You have wiggle room somewhere in your budget. If you
Yeah.
don't have wiggle room, then there's a problem. And all you do is shift that area or areas to then compensate for the mortgage. If the mortgage is important, you don't have to stay in it if you don't want it. You could sell the house. Like I think that's the other thing too. It's like the mortgage rates are high, the mortgage rates are high. How can I afford this? I think I read one article, one person was like, I can't put bread on my table. I'm like, well, what's more important, feeding your kids or having a property? Like sometimes it does come to what is more important in your life. If it's feeding your kids, sell the dang house if you have to. Like, don't kill yourself over a mortgage. I know we
Yeah.
sometimes like property and real estate is like the only thing that's going to save your life or save your retirement.
Yeah.
It's not always the case. You have to really look at what makes financial sense for me and my family and make your decision that way.
It's so funny that you just mentioned that because another call that we had, I'm having like flashbacks and I love it. I remember I was like freaking out as per always. 2020 Tamaya was a hot mess. She was, oof, wow, she was a lot. Thank you for holding space for that. I appreciate you. But I remember being like, well, what if my business fails? Like, what if I, like, me going down in nursing hours? That means I don't have guaranteed money coming in. What if it doesn't work out? How do I pay my mortgage? My cute mortgage, that rate was beautiful. Like, I can't believe I was sad about that. Like, it was like beauty. So I'm like, how am I going to make this work? What if I, like, default on my mortgage? Oh my God, I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to be homeless. And you're like, honey, I'm pretty sure you said honey child. That sounds like something you would say. You're like, honey child, what if you sell the condo? And I was like, what? What do you mean? And she's like, well, what if you sell the condo? You'll actually make a massive profit. You'll have extra cushion. You can rent for a bit. You can live in something smaller. There's options. And I literally was like, wait, you're telling me there's like 100,000 options of what could happen next, as opposed to I just become homeless on the street. What do you mean? And I literally didn't even think of that. So it's like, yes, there are things that have shifted, and there's a reality that there's a lot of extra pressure on a lot of people in terms of their finances. But then it's like, maybe now is the perfect time to launch a business. Maybe now is the time to ask for a raise at work. Maybe now is the time to downgrade your home. Do you need a bigger home? Do you like, do you need to have the check mark like 4 bedroom home with a backyard? Hey, move to the county or the country, like find something else further away. Do you need to be in the downtown core where everything's more expensive? Do you?
Exactly.
Most people like work from home.
Yeah.
There's so many different options. So I think that's something that I really want to like remind people of, like, it's not like this is happening, so this is going to happen. It's like this might happen, but there's so many other ways. Just like see it from another perspective. And again, this is why having some sort of a mentor is so important, because they're going to check you and be like, hot second, take a breath. Thank you. How about these options? And then let's decide.
It's true because we live in our blocks, right? So all we see is that worst case scenario that we've just been conditioned to see. And sometimes, as you said, like there's so much more options, opportunities, like ways that you can shift your life that you're just blinded to. And that's why you can't rely on your blocks. You
No,
can't rely on
no.
whatever those limiting beliefs are because they're literally just going to keep you stuck and allow you to stay where you're at.
If nothing changes, nothing changes. Like,
Yeah.
put on your big girl pants and make changes. And it's gonna be a little uncomfortable at first, but then it becomes second nature. And you're like, what? I did that for how long? Like, that's like one of my biggest regrets of like not doing this work sooner, not leaning into looking at my finances actually as opposed to like peaking kind of. Cause I'm just like, damn, I could have had this like sorted sooner and it's actually not that bad. Like, I used to avoid money dates like the plague. And it's like now I love it. Like I love seeing the numbers. I love seeing, okay, maybe I'm going to tweak that. Oh, interesting. That didn't go as I thought. Ooh, this is doing really good. Like it's actually fun to do. So you guys got to look at your numbers. It's like if you need someone to hold your hand while you're doing it, perfect. But like you got to do it. Like you got to rip off that band-aid
Yeah,
for sure.
100%.
So, what would you recommend in terms of investing? Anyone who might be not living as abundantly as they desire, and there isn't as much extra coming in every month, you just have a little bit. What would you say is the biggest bang for your buck in terms of investing?
First of all, start now. Like it doesn't, I think that's also what stops people is they feel like they have to have a lot of money. Like you can start at 10 bucks a month. Like, hello. I'm sure you can find 10 bucks. Just don't go to Starbucks for one day and you're good. Hello. So first things first, start now. I think when it comes to investing, what we don't realize is the power of time. Like
Mhm.
every day you waste is literally a day where you're losing money. So start now. Also, investing isn't scary. I think we have this misconception of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna invest and I'm gonna lose all my money. Like, there's a difference between investing and trading. Like, if you're gonna sit there and trade and watch the market and try to time the market, yeah, you might actually lose some money. You just might. But if you're actually just going to be a conscious investor, it's literally as simple as a certain amount every month into an investment that matches your risk profile. So if you're not a risky person, you don't have to invest in stocks. You don't have to invest in anything risky. Invest in fixed income or bonds. Like just start where you're
Yeah,
at, start where your risk level is at. Seek advice, like definitely like speak to your advisors. Or I mean, I don't make any money from this company, but Wealth Simple is, as they say, super simple. For someone who's starting out in investing, Wealth Simple is like one of the best places to start. You literally answer some questions. They'll pick your investments based on your risk profile. You decide how much to contribute every month. It's not hard to start investing. You just have to do it, and you have to do it sooner rather than later because every day you wait, like that's literally money that you're wasting. I remember I started with a client. I mean, I can't remember how much. I think they were putting like 100 bucks aside a month. This was a couple of years ago, and it's just like out of the blue, they texted me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have $1,200!" Like it was just like the biggest thing for them. They were like, "Oh my gosh, I have money! Like I have something." And that's the thing when you set these things up on autopilot,
yeah,
it's like literally you're not thinking about it, and your money is doing something. Your money is growing. So please do it and do it now.
absolutely. And it's like when you actually look at your budget, you'll see stupid ass shit you're like spending money on that gets you nowhere in life. And like, I think it's tricky with Toronto. And I'll say, because I've really noticed a difference now that I don't live downtown Toronto. But when you're downtown Toronto, you might go to the grocery store for one thing. Side note, grocery stores are open all the time. And then you're like, I'm just going to pick up this one thing. And then next thing you're like, you just dropped 50 extra bucks. And you're like, on what? Or it's like, oh, I'm just going to go pick up this thing at Sephora. And then all of a sudden you just like bought a whole new makeup line. And it's like, as you're walking, you're like, oh, I'll just, I'll get a latte. They have a cookie, had a cookie. Stop. Is that getting you anywhere? And it's like, are you soothing or numbing or running away from something? So again, check yourself because it's like when you actually look at your like transactions on a monthly basis and you actually add them up, I know you have a couple interesting stories in terms of like Uber Eats and some of your clients like wildly overspending on Uber Eats, but it's like, stop. Like, just, and I'm not saying don't do any of it, but if your budget doesn't have space for it, grow up. Like, I'm sorry, you have to get out of that habit because you're not going to have that emergency fund later. And then also, if you're spending a lot of money on like Uber Eats or let's say going out and drinking at the bar and whatever, and like zero judgment, you do you, that could have been a vacation.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's so true, and that's why people say they don't have the money, and I'm like, you have the money, you're just choosing it to spend. You're choosing to spend it somewhere else. And I always say that, like, show me where your money's going, I'll tell you what your priorities are. So you can't tell me, I want to get out of debt, I want to buy the house, I want to go on the vacation. Well, let's look at where your money's going. That's going to tell me what you really want.
yeah,
So it's
no, for
true.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like same with like time. I don't have the time for it. Yeah, you do. Like,
Mhm.
do you have like an alarm on your phone being like, check Instagram? No, you check Instagram anyways, and you kind of get lost in it. But I'm like, but you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes? Okay, cool. Whenever you're ready. Zero judgment, just saying. So, next question for you. What would you say is like the biggest piece of advice you would give my listeners who are mainly women? And what would you say? What's the one thing you should start today?
Mm. I'd say the biggest piece of advice is get your money right. Like, get your money right. I don't care if you're in a relationship, you're single, like, as women, we need to get our money right. There's a stat that came out a couple of months ago, and it's basically based on what they call the Great Wealth Transfer. And basically, I think it's by like 2026, and don't quote me on the percentages, but a significant percentage of Canadian women are going to accumulate wealth. And whether that is inherited wealth, whether that is through divorce or through, losing a partner or a spouse, whatever, it doesn't matter. What we're seeing is this shift in now women having to take the helm of the family's financial life. And so it's going to come on us at some point. Like, at some point, like, we as women typically outlive men. So at some point in your life, you're going to have to take control of your money. Don't let that be when you're like 70 and trying to figure it out, or you going through a divorce. I'm working with a client right now. Actually, she came to me for this very reason. Went through a divorce. Her husband took care of all the finances, made
Mm,
all the decisions. They sold their matrimonial home in the divorce. So now she's got this huge amount of money, and she's like, one, I don't know what to do with all this money. Two, I don't know how to take care of my day-to-day finances for my two kids. So
mm,
we have to start now. Like, I don't care if you just read a book, you listen to a blog, you do one of our courses, it doesn't matter. Just do something. If you feel lost in your financial life, if you've got your head in the sand, you don't
yeah,
know where your money's going, you have to woman up. Like,
yeah,
at some point, like
yeah.
we were saying, put your
Yeah.
big girl pants on. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for something drastic to happen. Get your
Yeah,
financial life together right now and
yeah,
start where you're at. It does not matter how much money you make. Don't live out of this block. Well, when I make more, then I'll do it. Or I don't make enough to like have enough money to manage. If you
yeah,
make money, I don't care if you make $1, you have money to manage. Hello. So
yeah,
get your it together and
yeah.
start learning how to manage your money.
If you can't manage $1,000, the universe will never give you 10,
Nope,
like, ever.
absolutely.
And side note, wearing your big girl pants is awesome. Like, it feels good. It feels strong and empowered and divine. And it's like, it is fantastic. Like, I
It's
feared big
sexy.
girl pants. Fucking love my big girl pants. Wear them.
Exactly,
So that's
exactly.
about business owners. What would you say, especially if like let's say someone's just starting out or they're thinking about it, what would you say should be like the one step you take?
Yeah, I think it's 2 steps for this, for business, and I would say even personal, but from a mindset perspective, if you're getting into business, you're starting your business, you're gonna come with an employee mindset. You're gonna come with the identity of an employee, so you're gonna have to do a lot of work on your mindset. I heard this one time and it just hit me so hard that entrepreneurship is the biggest self-development course you'll ever take in your life. And holy fucking shit, yeah.
that before I got into it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm too far in. I can't leave, but I
Can't
love
get
it.
out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. So your mindset, like you have to, and not when I say your mindset, yes, the blocks, but your identity.
Yeah.
You have to shift to at the identity level of a CEO, not
Yeah.
just a hobbyist. So one,
Yeah.
work on your mindset. Then two, learn how to manage your business finances ASAP. Don't wait till you're making a lot of money. I think this is this misconception. When I make a lot of money, then I'll set up my bookkeeping or get my accountant and then it's too late. You make so many financial mistakes. You find yourself in debt, and then you're trying to course correct.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen very cute and very easy. So set your financial life, your business finances up correctly from the start. Like when I started, I know this is one of the things I talk about at Unblock Your Business about setting aside a contingency fund. And I recommend like 10% of your revenue, but you decide where you want to start. I was doing that when I was hardly making money.
Yeah.
Like hardly. Okay, you made $1. What's 10% of $1? Okay, 10 cents. We move at 10 cents today. Like I started it no matter what I was making. Because when you build the habit, one, when you make more money, and this goes back to what you're saying earlier, the universe is going to trust you with more when you can prove that you can manage a little. So one, hello, let me figure out how to manage this dollar so the universe can give me, $10 million. But then two, also from a mindset identity perspective, what you're saying in your business, you're like, hey, I am going to make that money. I'm not playing around with whatever I make right now. I'm going to take care of it. And I know I'm going to make more. And so then you step into that identity of someone who then makes more money in your business. So those are the two things, your mindset and how you manage your business finances.
Yeah, amen to that. And what I will say is you have to do Vanessa's course. And again, it's like, holy moly, it changed my life. This is definitely one of the main things that shifted everything for me. And it's like, I say this from my heart, not because she's like paying me to sponsor her. It's like, I actually am just obsessed with her and I love her and everything she does. And it's like, I want this change for you guys as well. So tell us about your new program that is coming out in terms of dates. Where can they find it? Show notes has the link. So that's there for you. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. So the coaching program is called Unblock Your Business. And this program, it's so near and dear to my heart. Like, I poured everything into it for the very reason that you just said to me. I was like, I'm tired of seeing women CEOs struggle. I'm tired of seeing women CEOs have these beautiful ideas and gifts to give into the world, but they're not showing up or they don't have the money. And so they're hiding, they're pulling themselves back. They're not actually building the businesses that they desire. And so that's why I created the course. It was literally my heart was like, oh, how do I help these women? And so inside the course, it's a mix of mindset and business finances, but the business mindset part, I mean, we go in, we go deep to like your subconscious identity, your values, how your values are misaligned, like your self-image and your stories. So we shift all of your identity, and then out of that, we then look at your revenue model. So what we were talking about earlier, like, is your model actually profitable? Are your individual offers actually profitable? Are you leaving money on the table? Are you not charging your worth? Like, we rip apart your revenue model because hello, we didn't start businesses to be broke. So we want to make sure you're actually building a profitable, sustainable business. And then we end off with how do you then manage your profits? Not just your profits, but your cash flow. And that's another piece of the component. There's your revenue, your profit, your cash flow. You could be profitable, but still be cash poor. And that's what happens a lot of times. Like people have a sexy profit, they spend their money, and then tax time comes and like, where's my money for my taxes? There's
Yeah.
a difference. So again, learning how to manage your cash flow. So the back half of the program is really teaching you how to manage all aspects of your business finances, making sure you can pay yourself consistently, but really leaving you with the ability to run a profitable, sustainable business. So we kick off, our next cohort kicks off April 24th. That's when the next cohort starts. But we're having a challenge before that. So we're having a free challenge before the cohort begins. And that's going down April 11th to 13th. And it's called the Price for Profit Challenge. Can you tell that we're on this whole profit chain right now? Everything's about profit. So the 3 day
Absolutely.
challenge is literally all about your mindset. Like, what mindset blocks do you have that's causing you to not attract profit? Where are you leaving money on the table? Where you're not charging your worth? And how to manage your profit. So that's a free challenge, 3 days, April 11th to 13th. And then we open the doors to unblock your business. And that begins on April 24th.
Love it. And honestly, guys, like you got to check this out. You got to follow her. There's so much wisdom, there's so much power to having this knowledge. And at the end of the day, it's like these are words that we know and we've heard, but then you're like, I don't know what that is. Wait, there's a difference? Wait, what does that mean? Wait, what are the details? And it's like there's so much you don't know when you first start a business. And then it's like, who do you ask? And sometimes you're like, I don't even know how to Google it because I don't know what my question is. And it's like, how do I prep for it if you don't know? Like, ah, it's so stressful. Do the course, learn the things. And it's like, you don't just get access to Vanessa, you get access to this beautiful group of women. And it's like to be able to hear these women share what they do and then cheer them on, but then also see what they're struggling through. It reflects like what you're struggling through and you don't feel alone. And then you support each other and then you give each other these like gentle nudges to keep going when you're just like, shit, do I just like stop? Like, do I not do this? Am I not cut out for this? And then you have this like support team and like accountability partners. And it's just like, oh my God, this course is everything. Do it, please. You must, non negotiable. Otherwise, stop complaining. Like, I don't want to hear people be like, oh, it's so hard. Literally, this is your one stop shop for everything. So it's here on a platter, gold platter.
I'm like, gold.
Love it. One more question. Given this is the Discover Your Joy podcast, what brings you joy?
Oh, that's such a great question. There's a lot of things. I mean, one, spending time with my family, my husband, of course, like that just brings me the best joy. But I'm actually I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert by nature. So, like, just having a good book and just laying on a couch or like going to the spa and just getting a good massage, like just pouring into me and
Yeah.
just having quiet time of disconnecting from the business, disconnecting from the world, disconnecting from all the noise. Like, that's what brings my soul joy because it's where I fill up so that I can then pour into others as well.
Oof, so good. You always have to fill your own cup. Otherwise, you're empty and then you're half-assing life, and that's not worth it. And we love Marcus. We all love Marcus. Shout out, Marcus. Amazing. Vanessa, I adore you. I love everything that you do. Please keep shining. Please keep growing and expanding. And guys, you got to follow her. You have no choice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
You're welcome. For ways to work with me, visit theurbanhealer.ca.